Good afternoon, class. Okay, please open your cam and for the prayer and to be led by John Edgar. Okay, please take your seat and arrange your chair properly. Now, I will be checking the attendance for able to know who is absent today class. Okay, say presence if I call your name. Miss Hanayan Cordero, Solimio, Ragay. Okay, very good. Who is absent today class? Wow, fantastic. That's my student. Okay, since our topic is all about biodiversity, uh, I will read first the objectives. Okay, at the end of the discussion, the students are expected to define biodiversity, identify the levels of biodiversity, and analyze how to minimize the threats of biodiversity. And last, actively participate in groups or individual activities. Okay, I have her and images, and all you need to do is to identify the pictures if it is belong to biodiversity or not. Okay, number one. May I call you John Edgar to identify the first picture? Very good. Okay, number two. Cordero. Uh, ano? Okay. Okay, yeah. I I think this is this is not belong to biodiversity. Okay, sige. Okay, let's proceed to number three. Uh, mm, Solimeo. Very good. Okay, number four. May I call you Cordero again? Very good. And lastly, number five. May I call you John Edgar Lorito Ragay? Very good. Okay, since our topic is all about biodiversity, uh, I have heard videos, and all you need to do is to watch to understand what is biodiversity is all about. Kasunod. Thank you for watching, class. Okay, what have you learned about the video presentation? Anyone would like to share? Mm, thank you for participating, class. Also, biodiversity refers to the vast array of life forms. It is coined from the words biological and diversity. It is all different kinds of life you will find in one area. For example, animals, plants, and insects, and which is living in a particular area. Okay, let's proceed to. There are three levels of biodiversity. The first levels is called genetic diversity. Uh, this means it is all the different genes contained in all individual plants, animals, fungi, and microorganisms, and it also occurs within a species as well as between species. For example, mm, all different breeding of dogs, and then let's proceed to the second levels. The second is called species diversity. Uh, this is the number of different species and the relative abundance of each species in a biological community. For example, monkeys, dragon, dragonflies, and meadow beauties are also are all different species in the same community. Okay, let's proceed to the third level, which is called ecosystem diversity. This means this refers to the variety of habitats, communities, and ecological processes in the biosphere. Okay, let's proceed to the threats of biodiversity. The loss of biodiversity is a significant issue for scientists and policymakers, and the topic is finding its way into living rooms and classrooms. Species are becoming extinct at the fastest rate known in geological history, and the most of these extinction have been tied to human activity. So meaning the threats of biodiversity cause the loss of life. Uh, also, okay, let's proceed to for the first threats of biodiversity. First is called habitat loss and destruction. Usually, as a direct result of human activity and population growth, is a major force in the loss of species, population, and ecosystem. Second, which is called alteration in ecosystem. Uh, this is a loss or decline of a species can lead to a loss of biodiversity. A change in land use or land cover that has an impact on local ecosystem, like for example, deforestation and other human activities that can cause alteration in ecosystem. The third one is called the introduction of exotic. This means it is often disrupt food webs and directly damage native species because they lack natural enemies. There are no native predators nor genetic resistance to these pests in areas where they are introduced. Okay, number four is called over exploitation. This means this is a result of overhunting, overfishing, or over collecting of a species or a population can lead to its demise. Next is the pollution and contamination. Human-generated pollution and contamination can affect all levels of biodiversity. And the last one is called the global climate change. Uh, this can alter environmental conditions. Species and population may be lost if they are unable to adapt to new conditions or relocate. Okay, so since we are done of our discussion about diversity, I hope you learn a lot because our next activity will be much more exciting. Are you ready, class? Okay, for our activity, it will be an oral recitation. Now, I want you to read there yourself because I will give you an example and I want you identify it if it is belong to genetic, ecosystem, or either species diversity. And then after a few minutes of formulating your ideas, I will call the name if who answer I will call the name if who answer the following examples. Okay, number one, these are the tens of hundreds of fish species and coral and crustaceans found in the specific reef and etc. Uh, may I call you Cordero to answer the number one examples? Okay, very good. Number two, these examples is called different varieties of rose flowers, wheat, or etc. Okay, number two, may I call you sorry, Jan Loreto Ragay? Jan Edgar? Okay, very good. Let's proceed to number three. This is called of different varieties of medicinal plants are Revolvia, vomitoria presents in different Himalayan ranges, differ in the amount of chemical reserpine produced by them. May I call you Solomeo to identify these examples? Wow, fantastic. Okay, let's proceed to number four. This is the coral reef, a desert, a forest, land, human ecosystem. May I call you Miss Hanayan? Very good. Okay, let's proceed to the last examples. This is Australia's Great Barrier Reef. May I call you Miss Cordero to answer these examples? Wow, that's my student. I think you have learned about my discussions based on your answers. Okay, let's proceed to our assessment. Uh, now, I will give you a short quiz about of our lessons today, and I want you to answer it orally. For those who wants to share their answer, don't be shy because this activity measure how far you're learning about our discussion. Okay, number one, what are the three types of biodiversity? May I call you Miss Hanayan to answer this question? Yes, you very good. You're correct. Okay, number two, let's proceed. It refers the biodiversity between of organisms, the same species. May I call you Cordero? Very good. Okay, number three, what is a short term of biodiversity? May I call you John Edgar Loreto Ragay? Fantastic. Okay, number four, these forests are only examples of ecosystem biodiversity. May I call you Solomio if is it true or false? Yes, we know that forest is not only examples of ecosystem biodiversity. Okay, let's proceed to number five. It is the largest scale of biodiversity. May I call you Miss Hanayan to answer this? Very good. Okay, okay, class. Before I give you your homework, I want you to look this picture because this give you an idea what causes biodiversity loss. I give you 5 minutes to study this picture. Are you done looking the picture, class? Uh, uh, do you have any questions about the lesson for today? Okay, what you have learned about the discussion? May I call you Miss Hanayan? Very good. Okay, let's proceed to our last activity. For your assignment, uh, I want you to answer the questions in 5 sentences only. Uh, how traits of biodiversity uh, affects the organisms or species in a particular area? Okay, are you uh, understand class for your uh, assignment? Okay, that's all our discussion for today, class. Uh, See you next meeting. Goodbye and keep safe, everyone. Goodbye, class. Keep safe, everyone.